Hi, I'm Robin Forster with Feel So Alive, and thank you for being here, whether you're watching us live or on the replay. And just to let you know, I will be looking over at my notes now and then because we have a lot of exciting things planned for you today. If this is your first time joining us, the way that this runs is that our first guest is on for about 10 minutes and then they share a health tip during that 10 minutes. Our second guest is also on for about 10 minutes and again sharing some business tips with us, and then that's the end. So we appreciate you being there, and let's go ahead and get started. But first, before we do that, our world is a little weird right now, as we all know, and so one of the things I thought we could do is spend about 30 seconds just kind of giving back some good juice, whether it's blessings or prayers or sending white light, whatever it is. So please join me in about 30 seconds of just silence. Oh, oops. The fun thing about doing this is that there's always something new and unusual happening. So our guest speakers today are Matt McCarl and Sue Painter, and I'm very excited to bring them on. But first, we're going to do our 30 seconds. So if you'll join me, please. Thank you very much for joining me in the 30 seconds of trying to give a little bit of good juice back to the world. And now let's see where we are in our program since I've made some changes.
There we go.
Hi, I'm Robin Forster with Feel So Alive and Feel So Alive Informed with my guest, Matt McCarl. Oh, that was interesting. That shouldn't have ended like that. Hang on one second. There's been all kinds of interesting things happening today, and I'm not really sure why. So 1 second, and we'll try that again. This is pretty fascinating. I don't think I've ever had so many things go wrong before. So let's keep seeing. Let's see. Should be that one. I'm pressing buttons if you're wondering what's going on. And it should be that one. And that's fascinating. None of them are working. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm going to stop it real quick just as I'm checking on Facebook to make sure that you all can see it, and I have this funny feeling that it's not playing, which I think is fascinating because there's no reason for it not to be playing. So I'm going to do something a little different, I hope. I'm going to put it on another screen and see if that won't work.
There we go.
Hi, I'm Robin Forster with Feel So Alive and Feel So Alive Informed with my guest, Matt. That's fascinating. I'm sorry, I'm sure it's not very fascinating for you, but it's fascinating for me that it's not working the way that it's supposed to. I just think that that's really interesting. So 1 more second while I try to figure out what I have embedded in here that would be doing such strange things. So if you're just joining us, hopefully you can say something in the comments. And what's happening is, and this hasn't happened for a while, I'm almost always trying something new. And so I used to say it's 2020, but now it's 2021, so you never know. And this time, something that has always worked, I've never had a problem with, is now not working. And I go to show my video, and I have my video pulled up, and for some reason it is not showing, and I cannot figure out why that is not showing. Okay, let's try this. Okay, I'm hoping that you all can see this. Okay, I have it on a different screen. Health, wellness, and productivity. And so it's going to be very fun to hear from Matt. This is a little bit different than some of the other healers that we've put on. So I am very excited to hear and for Matt to share with us his background and how he ended up where he is. So Matt, why don't you start off and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thanks, Robin. Yeah, I grew up in Junction City, so I was born in Eugene. Lucky enough to live on an 80-acre farm with my mom and dad and my sister. We raised cattle and, just a small hobby farm, really. And then when I was 19, I was lucky enough to be able to move into my grandma's house in Harrisburg, Oregon, and start taking over it because she was at the point where she needed to be with somebody else and not alone anymore.
Absolutely. It sounds like you're kind of part of that sandwich generation that so many of us are.
Oh, yeah.
And let's see, were you talking before? It sounds like after you moved into your grandmother's, you also got married, so you're kind of settling down a little bit?
Yeah, got married, started having kids, and, started working in the RV industry. Just, life kind of happened. Not really what I had planned, but, it's what happens. You just got to roll with it sometimes.
Exactly. Sometimes it's about what happens to us, and then how we choose to respond to it. And I was just thinking about your background for those folks who are watching this on the live or the replay, where you were raised in Junction City, very small agricultural farming town. And then moving to Harrisburg was, I think, even a smaller agricultural town.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, and I liked what you told me about the next step of what you were doing, what you were hearing happening outside.
Exactly. So the house that I moved into was 3 blocks from the fire station. And so I would hear the fire siren go off all the time. The guys would come by in the trucks to do collections for the 4th of July for the fireworks. We do a huge 4th of July celebration out here every year. So they were the ones that would go around and do collections to help sponsor that and everything. And I thought that was really cool. And the siren would wake me up at night. So I thought, one day I thought, I might as well go check this out. And since I'm awake when it goes off, maybe I could be of some service to them. So I started volunteering with the fire department, and now it's 28, almost 30 years later, and I'm still hard at it. In fact, tonight's drill night, so when we're all done, I'll get to go play with my fire buddies.
Excellent. But being part of the fire department, I know you were working in RVs, which is also very important, but being part of the fire department, it seems like that was kind of part of your not only giving back, but your concern for other people and fitting into your values of wanting to help people.
Yeah, absolutely. Always loved finding a way to help people. And I really, working with somebody before, talking with them, did a kind of a retro look at my life. And a lot of that I think stems from my grandparents that lived with us when I was younger. There would be medical emergencies. And there was one night that one of my grandparents were having a big medical emergency, and I felt very helpless. I think that's a lot of what stems through me becoming what I am today, is because of that event when I was a younger, I think I was middle school, starting a high school time. And so that just kind of reinforced why I became a fireman even more. after looking back at things just a year or so ago.
Yeah, but it's kind of nice to get to an age where you can look back at the tapestry of your life and look at where the threads are weaving through and which ones continue to weave through. For example, when we were talking before we went live, you were talking about becoming an EMT also with the fire department.
Yeah, that was, and we were mentioning how 80% of the nation is all volunteer. That leads right into another corresponding number where 80 to 85% of all fire department related emergencies now are medical. So it was very much needed that if you're going to be on the department, if you really want to volunteer and give back to the community, being an EMT is one of the best ways to do that, because you're going to be doing a lot more responding in that capacity than just as a firefighter.
Well, and it's this is a fun discussion because my second question, which is what I was looking down at, was how did you get drawn into this line of work and being an EMT? And we haven't even talked about the line of work you're in now, and I think folks are going to be fascinated. So, do you want to talk about when the RV industry crashed and some of your health issues briefly, and what your next step was to provide for your family?
Absolutely. So, as most folks watching this probably realize, 2007, 2008, the RV industry, the whole economy kind of crashed, and RVs was hit really hard. And coincidentally, about that same time, I had hurt my back. L4-5 had completely ruptured, so I had had surgery. Was doing all the work, PT, and all that stuff to get back, and just in time for the company I work for to say, "Hey, we just sold. Have a nice life." After 20 years of being with that company, it was kind of a real blow, but they were building the new hospital here locally. I knew folks that worked at the old hospital. They said, somebody with your experience of EMT and stuff like that, we're going to need folks like you to work in the ER. So I was off work very limited amount of time, started working at the hospital, but I had put on a lot of weight because in the RV industry, I worked as a tech, so I traveled a lot, so I ate a lot of road food, stuff like that. Plus the whole back injury thing, sedentariness, I weighed about 260 pounds at that point in time. So I was looking for a way to get in better shape, had a little chest pain. My doctor put me on an aspirin, and at 39, I was like, I should not be on an aspirin. And so I found P90X, Beachbody, all that fun stuff, started doing that. That turned into like a little side business. And then in 2012, while working at the hospital, I had to have a neck surgery because C4-5 had compressed and pinched the nerve to my right bicep. And so I was off work again, but I had met some folks in the networking of Beachbody that were teaching people how to change their mindset on food. And that was up in Tacoma, Washington. So I went up there for a weekend to learn more for my side business. And they had some local vendors there, one of which was New Leaf Hyperbarics. And as I'm watching their presentation and how they're helping people with oxygen through a pressurized vessel, and just seeing how natural this whole procedure was and everything like that, I just couldn't believe there wasn't something like this already in Eugene, and how it was a perfect fit for Eugene. So it led me down the path to figuring out how to start my own clinic here in Eugene.
Excellent. And for those folks who are not aware of Eugene, Oregon, it's kind of the Birkenstocks granola healer vortex of the West Coast,
Man.
which is very fun for a lot of us living here. But I'm not at all surprised that you were wondering, why is this not in Eugene? And then starting the business here in Eugene, which is very exciting. And it sounds like it's also been good for your health issues to have this. But so tell us, because I know when you were first talking to me about this years ago, I didn't understand why this was helpful. And would you share with folks what it is about hyperbarics and oxygen that is healing?
Oh, absolutely, Robert. So if you think of one of the easiest way to think about hyperbarics, because it's a big word that a lot of folks have trouble kind of figuring out, the easiest way to think about it is oxygen therapy under pressure. So we have you breathing some oxygen from one of our concentrators, 99.5% pure oxygen. And then we have you in a pressurized vessel, similar to kind of what you see behind me. This is like a big hospital style one that I'm standing in the background here. It's called a myoplace chamber, which means multiple people can go in it. We use monoplace chambers, which is one person usually. And we pressurize that vessel to be the same as 11 feet below sea level. And that allows Henry's law of physics to take over in the oxygen, so that instead of the oxygen just hooking to the red blood cells to get around, we're actually able to put 4 times the amount of oxygen in your body by letting it dissolve into the liquid or the plasma of your body and helping get 5 times farther into every cell. And since oxygen is a nice natural anti-inflammatory, detoxifier, immune booster, stem cell producer, healer, and it, we get to help folks with over 80 different conditions that can be going on. Most folks just like that anti-inflammatory relief and the detox effect. An hour in one of our hyperbaric chambers is similar to taking, say, 40 Motrin or 12,000 milligrams of ibuprofen for the anti-inflammatory relief. Plus, we're detoxing you at a cellular level every time you're in there. So it's pretty cool.
Wow. That is amazing. I know over time you've told me some stories of people, and can you share some of the specific benefits in the less than a minute that we have left? So you
Sure.
can
Well, for my own experience, after my neck surgery, the surgeon told me that he bumped the nerve to these 2 fingers right here, leaving them numb and tingling, and they should start feeling better in like a month. Well, 8 months later, when I finally got my first hyperbaric chamber in my home, they were still numb and tingly. I started doing treatments 3 times a week. 6 weeks into treatments, the numbness and tingling was gone, has never returned. I also realized that I hadn't taken an ibuprofen in days, about that same amount of time. And now, as long as I treat once a week, I don't eat ibuprofen like Tic Tacs anymore, like I used to do before and after my neck surgery. As well as my wife was stage 4 cancer. She has an inoperable tumor in her brainstem that they can't remove because it's entwined, if you will. But after a year and a half, almost 2 years of treatments, she went into full remission, which was pretty fantastic.
Wow.
As well as helping people heal in, a third the time they would normally heal. People fall, they smack their face, get black eyes. We help them heal in like a week. We have folks that come in pre and post surgery to help them heal, detox before and heal after. Folks that have been in motor vehicle accidents will come in and get their post-concussion syndrome repaired. Post-stroke folks that have numbness or tingling, maybe don't have use of an arm, are able to start using that arm again. Not necessarily 100%, but they get 80% back, let's say.
Yeah,
They're able to do things they couldn't do before.
that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so question. A friend of mine has an open wound that they're, whatever it is that they do when they go back in and cut it and make sure that it's staying healthy and stuff. Now, is that something that could benefit?
Absolutely. We actually just had a lady just drove up from Merlin, Oregon to spend the week with her daughter to come see us every day this week to start doing that because she has some same blood flow issues. She's sclerodema. I think I'm saying that right. I always struggle with some of those words. But basically, she just has bad blood flow and she has a wound on her ankle that's not healing and a couple of toes. She also has Raynaud's, which is a circulatory issue. So her hands were super cold before she got in yesterday. She got out and her hands were warm. Like, yay!
Wow.
So she's going to do a treatment every day this week. So I'm super excited to see how well her wound heals. But yeah, they do. So non-healing diabetic wounds is one of the covered conditions by conventional insurance. So like McKinsey-Willamette here locally, the big hospital, has a wound center over on West 11th where they use the big high pressure chamber, not one this big, but big high pressure chambers. So what we do is mild pressure. So we get to treat folks that are all what they call like off-label stuff that the hospital can't treat because it's not covered under insurance. Or if they do, it's very, very expensive to use their machines.
Interesting. Well, Matt, I hate to stop you, but I'm watching the timer, and I know that you've got other things you have to do. And was there some kind of a special or something that you wanted to offer folks? Because I know you can't really tell them how to do this at home.
Right. Well, not particularly. We do rent and sell our chambers, though, for folks that want to have them at home. But that's a whole nother conversation. We run an intro special where right now it's $45 for your first treatment. That's a 65-minute session, and then we get you a coupon to get 2 more right away for only $109. So you can get your first 3 sessions for only $154. If you want to see those folks, if you can, do your first 3 within 7 days to really get you detox, get that inflammation down, get you feeling really good, and then work with you on creating a program that works best for you physically and monetarily as well.
Nice. Well, Matt, thank you very much. And I know that the guys at the fire station are expecting you soon for some training. So thank you very much
Yeah.
for your time.
Thank you, Robin. Thanks for having me.
Okay, now I'm curious as to what my program is going to do here. There we are, we're back on track. I'm not sure what was going on, but thank you for your patience bearing with us. There's always something creative going on. And today we're going to talk a little bit about turmeric. I'm just finding it to be very fascinating, and so I've got some notes, and that's why I'm looking down, because I want to make sure I cover this, because people are kind of wondering, what is it that I should do? What's going to help me? And especially when we're thinking about inflammation and arthritis and those kinds of things. So turmeric is an antioxidant, and what that means is that it's a substance that can protect your cells against free radicals, and that may play a role in heart disease, cancer, and other diseases. Okay, so what are free radicals, right? So free radicals are molecules produced when your body breaks down food or when you're exposed to tobacco smoke or radiation. And those were the specific examples that the Mayo Clinic gave. A lot of times when we think of antioxidants, we're thinking of vitamins such as C and E and carotenoids, and there's so many more, but I just wanted to kind of give a little context on that. So today, talking about turmeric, it's actually a plant that is part of the ginger family, and I didn't realize that. And it's been used for over 4,000 years. So it's been around quite a long time. And if you're ever wondering in curry powder where it gets that gorgeous golden color, it's from the turmeric. And it's a spice, and it's been used in dishes worldwide, and it's part of so many different cultures and their healing traditions. So that's kind of fun. You're going to run into turmeric in a lot of different places. And so just now you can kind of be aware and look at it and see. So another question is, why would we want to take turmeric? And this plant is part of the ginger family that we talked about. Some people take it for pain and for inflammation, like arthritis, for example, or osteoarthritis. Some folks are using it for seasonal allergies or depression, or to reduce delayed onset of muscle soreness after exercise. And that was a totally new one on me. I thought that was fascinating. But first, exactly what is turmeric? And turmeric, and I hope I pronounce these right, curcuminins and curcumin. Those are all three different words, and I'm afraid that I'm doing bad things to it. They're not all interchangeable terms, and I've heard some people say those before. It's the family of active compounds in turmeric that are called curcumins. Curcuminoids. And yes, I have been practicing that word. The primary curcuminoid found in turmeric is called curcumin, and this is where turmeric's powerful benefits come from. So it's a progression, and you need to kind of keep track of what it is that we're talking about. So what is the difference between turmeric root and turmeric extract? So if you are taking turmeric, or if you've bought some, you may have looked at the label. And the curcumin is found in the root of the turmeric plant, but only comprises a small amount in the turmeric plant. So an average root contains less than 5% of the curcumin, and this amount varies from turmeric root to turmeric root. On the other hand, turmeric extracts are made by extracting the curcumin from the turmeric root and are standardized to contain a concentrated amount of curcumin. So that's one of the things that you need to look at is when you're looking for a food supplement is it standardized and is it from the root? And the next question is, can we really digest it, or is it bioavailable? And my research led me to find that it's best when it's taken with a meal, and especially with some fat. And one of the things that they add to it is a little bit of black pepper, because that helps to aid in the absorption and bioavailability. I mean, who knew? And when you're looking to purchase a turmeric supplement, the best quality will be an extract from the root, and it'll be standardized and include the black pepper. There are some possible side effects from taking too much over long periods of time, and this I got from consumerlab.com. And it depends on some specific conditions. As always, talk to a medical provider before adding this herb to your diet. And for me and my family, I'm very happy with all the testing that Shaklee does on their raw ingredients and after they're being processed to make sure that there's no yucky chemicals, lead, mercury, all those gross things in there. And I know that their integrity is all about how they can have 100% money back guarantee on every product, all the way down to the bottom of the jar. And no, you don't need to have your receipt. So I just wanted to share a little bit about that because I know that we're all looking, sorry for looking down, I know that we're all looking for ways to stay as healthy as we can and to take care of ourselves. And for those of us who are aging and having some new issues with our body, turmeric is one of those supplements that we may want to look at. And now, let's see if this works. Oh, that's very interesting. Okay, you can see my green screen. So our next speaker is Sue Painter, and let's see if hers works. And Sue, you know, I didn't tell y'all very much about Sue. She is really fun, and she's going to talk a little bit about her background, but she's the owner of Confident Marketer, and also she owns a Sell Travel Better, 2 online businesses that help small business owners with brand clarity, marketing, and business strategies. And so she's really fascinating. I think that you're going to enjoy her for those of us who have small businesses. And let's see if we can get this to play. Hi, I'm Robin Forster with Feel So Alive. And if my guest, Sue Painter, if you would say hi to everyone.
Hi there. Good to be here. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I'm really excited to have you here, and I'll just tell everyone a little bit about you, and then I know that you're going to fill in more. Sue is the owner of Confident Marketer, which is how I met you, and also Sell Travel Better, which I'm sorry to say I've not been able to utilize, but
no one has.
Yeah, exactly. Someday soon. So those are both online businesses, and she helps small business owners with brand clarity, which is so important. All of us who are businesses know what an issue that is with marketing and also business strategies. And she began her first business at the age of 14. And when I was reading your bio before today, I was really fascinated that you were in emergency management for Defense Nuclear Weapons Facility, or your corporate background. And I love how you said you ditched it to become a massage therapist.
I did.
I understand. And what a pivot.
Yeah.
So, Sue, if you would like to, why don't you start off telling us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be here, so thank you for that. I own 2 businesses, as Robin said. The Confident Marketer is one, which is going on 19 years old now. And then the second one is Sell Travel Better, which is a little offshoot of the Confident Marketer. And that's only about 6 or 7 months old now. My whole purpose for having the Confident Marketer is to encourage and support entrepreneurs who primarily are home-based businesses to really be clear in their brand and strategic in their marketing so that they can create the income they want to have the life that they live. That's what I have been able to do. And that's what I know most people are able to do if they just have a passion for something that they want to turn into a business, but they also have to think like a business owner. I run a group called the CEO Circle Community, and it is specifically for women entrepreneurs who really want to learn to think always from a business perspective about what they're doing in their business so they can increase their confidence level and increase their income.
Excellent. Yeah, that is so important. And I think for a lot of folks when they first get into business, you know, we don't realize all these other behind the scenes. We just want to do what it is that we love.
Exactly.
But there's all these other things that we need to do. And that's why I appreciate knowing you. And I've taken one of your classes, the declutter.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was brilliant, amazing, easy,
Thank you.
hard. Yeah, it was really, really. In fact, I think I've taken it twice. I'm still working on it because it's like, oh yeah, there's something else I didn't think about that you did think about.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
that,
it's easy to kind of get overwhelmed by business systems because there's so many things to choose from. It's harder now. When I first started in business, there was one email system, there was one shopping cart, there wasn't social media. And now there's multiples of all of those. So it can be
oh,
overwhelming.
yes, it can, and rabbit holes everywhere. It's just like squirrel.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. We're all guilty of that to some extent or another. Yeah.
Well, and that's so good to hear because I think a lot of us, work on our own and, solo
Yes.
entrepreneurs and we kind of feel like, well, we're the only one that's dealing with that
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah. And we're not. Yeah.
Yeah. And you told us a little bit about how you got drawn into this line of work. You want to tell us a little bit more and maybe how it's benefited some other folks that you've worked with?
Yeah, sure. So as you know, when I left the corporate world, I became a massage therapist. I ditched it all. I had a job where I was traveling the world and training people in a real specific technical field. And I ditched it all and became a massage therapist. And I had that business for 14 years and ended up selling it. But I got into I started the Confident Marketer because when we started the massage clinic, within a year, I was booked a year in advance. And so I had to start hiring staff because nobody's going to wait a year for a massage, right? So I built up a big clinic and people started asking me, how did you do that? Because lots of massage therapists don't make much money. So I started teaching them, and then other business owners started asking me. And finally, I thought, this is more lucrative and I enjoy it. And my thumbs were wearing out. So I decided that I would sell Touch Therapy Center, which I did, and just go full time into being a confident marketer. So that's how I got started. I think people have benefited from understanding how it is they can organize what they want to offer to other people in a way that is understandable to the buyer and a way that is the pricing is reasonable for the buyer, but they also are looking at what their operating costs are and how profitable they're going to be, because you've got to decide, are you going to be a hobbyist or are you going to be a businesswoman? And if you're a hobbyist, you don't care about your bottom line. But if you're a businesswoman, you do, because you're paying your bills or doing something else, traveling or paying for your kids' college education over what you've made in that business. So I'm working with people who really want that income for whatever purpose, but they do want to have it be profitable.
Excellent. Okay, so you're working with folks who have already taken that first step that said, yes, I'm going to do a business.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Mm-hmm.
serious. Now I know I need some help, and they're
Mm-hmm.
looking around trying to figure out who is the best person to assist them.
Yeah, and where to start? Like, what do they look at? I typically look at branding. I look at their marketing. If there is marketing, sometimes there's not much marketing. I make them look at their operating costs, because those can get out of hand real quickly. And then all of a sudden you're wondering, why do you have $10,000 on a credit card and $1,500 worth of income?
And that is so easy to do. I mean, reflecting back again on your class, and I realized that I'm paying storage, online cloud storage, in 3 different places.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And from watching and from being in your class, it was like, okay, so let me look, what's really happening in life.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. So
Yeah. Pick
yeah.
the one that meets your needs the most and go for that one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But sometimes it takes a little while to kind of get through. It's almost like spaghetti, and you're trying
Uh-huh.
to pull it apart to figure out what's really working.
It's so funny that you say that, because I talk to people sometime and say, this business is kind of like a spaghetti bowl. Everything if you pick one noodle, if you pull it out, it's going to touch other noodles and move them. And that's exactly true about owning a business. Everything touches every other part.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that, but yeah. Yeah, I know that from my own experience. When I do this, that happens. It's like,
Exactly. Yeah.
sometimes that's really a good thing, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a surprise.
Yeah, sometimes it is a surprise. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm wondering about what gift you have that you would like to give to our viewers. They'll be watching this on the replay, and other tips and suggestions so that we as small businesses can kind of get a leg up.
Okay. The gift I have is something that I built that is actually based on the 20 questions that I most ask when someone comes to me and wants to work with me. And it's called How to Build Your Business Without Confusion or Overwhelm. And you can get that by going to confidentmarketer.com/free report. That's the URL for it, confidentmarketer.com/free report. And it is literally a workbook that is has all the questions that I ask, those entry questions, and then a space for you to answer them. So it's kind of like a little exercise book for you. So that's a good starting place. And even if you are a business owner who is an experienced business owner, sometimes you're looking to refresh or pivot, especially in these times. So some of those questions will help you think about, what do I really want to be doing now? I think one of the tips that I'd most want to talk about is that we need to accept as normal that we change as business owners. Our interests change and the interests of our buying audience change. Our target market changes. We age. We get interested in different things at different points in our lives. And it is really normal for your business to go through a cycle, and then you are going to refresh it and maybe grow a little thumb. Like I just grew this little thumb of Sell Travel Better because of your own experience. And you'll start really honing down what you most like to do and really.
Oh dear, this is so 2021 with Sue freezing up. Hopefully she'll come back shortly. That was a great tip. We'll give her just a couple more seconds here and hope that she comes back.
Is that we need to take as a tip.
Sue, we lost you there for quite a while, but we're
Oh,
glad
no.
that you're back.
Uh-oh. Wonder what happened. Sometimes internet drops, I guess. I don't know. I'm sorry.
It does. No, you froze. I know it has nothing to do with you. It's just part of the times that we're living in. That happens.
Okay. What was coming out of my mouth?
Well, you were just getting to the really good stuff. You had been talking about how we change, the market changes, the customers change, and how that's okay. And then you were going into the next piece of that.
Okay. Yeah. So I was saying it's okay for us to change. And I think sometimes we get caught in, we've set up this idea and we've put a lot of time and effort into, I'm a seller of petunias. Even though I'm now interested 2 years later in switching to roses, I can't because all my stuff is set up around petunias. Well, you can change it. It's not that hard, really. And you'll sell the roses with more passion than you sold the petunias. So you'll do better at it if you go ahead and switch. So it's really natural for us to be, now that's not an excuse for being wishy-washy and never implementing anything because we can't decide. It is, I've done this, I've shown that I can be a success, and now I can add on this, or I can switch, or I can do something completely different. I mean, I went from corporate person to spa clinic, massage clinic owner, to internet entrepreneur, as I have been now for close to 19 years. So it's okay to change. Being ineffective and not executing, that's not okay, no matter what business you're in.
Well, you know, I'm glad that you laid it out that way because the changes, and I know that pivot is now an overused word, but
Yeah.
the pivots that you did in your life are huge. I mean, they're almost radical changes.
They were, yeah.
Yeah, and to be an internet marketer and also a woman doing that 20 years ago, that's, I mean, you must have been one of the few people that was doing that.
I was, and before that, when I was in the nuclear industry, I mean, I was by far the only woman doing training for nuclear weapons, and I would go to meetings where there'd be 500 people and there'd be 2 women maybe. There was never a line at the bathroom for me.
Well, that's a plus.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great. Well, Sue, I'm watching the time, and I really appreciate you giving us this time. And is there anything else, real quickly, that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, I really want to say that a lot of people feel like opportunities are very limited because of all of the changes in the economy that we've had worldwide. But the truth of the matter is, there's huge opportunity whenever there's a downturn. Huge opportunity. This is really the time of women in business. And if you have an idea or you have the gumption to make a business out of something, there is so much wide open opportunity here. And I really encourage you to sit down and write it out and think about, how could I go about doing this? Because chances are you can. You might need a more narrow niche, you might need to focus your brand, but there's opportunity everywhere. And I truly believe that. And that's kind of like my passion, to help people see they can really be successful.
Oh, that's neat. On that positive note, I think that we need to stop the recording.
Okay, it's good.
There we go. So some things are working. I'm pretty excited about that. So this is the end of our program. We appreciate you watching live or on the replay, whatever worked for your schedule. We are normally the second and fourth Thursdays of the month, and the two coming up in March will be the 11th and the 25th. So don't forget to follow or like us on Facebook, however it is that they're doing it these days. And also on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell so that you will be notified when we are next going live. And thank you so much for your time. I appreciate that.